So first I want to say, Jeannie, thank you for your question. I'm really grateful that you feel like you're able to speak up and share how you feel. Certainly that's not the case for a lot of kids with same-sex parents because this debate has been framed as one that is based on prejudice. And what that does is it shuts down a real robust debate. And in our country, we really didn't have one. It was so demonized from the beginning that anybody that supported traditional marriage was doing so based on bias or bigotry or hatred or homophobia or something. And what it did is it totally shut it down, and people felt like they could not speak up. And the truth is that while there are people with religious convictions, obviously, members of your party feel that, this is based on their, deeply held religious beliefs. I think that our side needs to do a better job of making their case using natural law. And because I don't think that people should be accountable to my religion. I'm accountable to my religion.
Katy, our questioner, in fact, the lady next to our questioner has her hand up. Go ahead.
I'm Ginny's mother. I'd like to dispute your assertion that your voices have been shut down. In fact, your US Supreme Court in the Obergefell case heard all the evidence. They heard submissions from you, yourself, and from a lot of other people, and they heard all the evidence, and they found that it is the banning of gay marriage which is causing harm and humiliation to the children of same-sex couples. If you claim to speak for people like Ginny, if you claim to support her, why do you not support her right to have married parents?
Thank you for the question. So I'll say that there are organizations devoted to giving Ginny a voice. And there is nobody that gives a voice to kids that may express some misgivings about their upbringing. As a matter of fact, I was in Adelaide 2 days ago, and in a 24-hour period, I have 2 women come to me, 2 separately, one in person and one that approached me on Twitter, who said, "This was my situation when I was young. I have never told anybody about it." One said, "For 20 years, I've never shared how I felt." And the other one said, "It has been 30 years since I left that house, and I never felt like I could talk to anybody because it seemed like everybody else had these glowing, household situations, and that didn't represent me." So on that flight home, I was sitting next to a woman who was from San Francisco, and we get into the chit-chat, and she says, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I'm always like, "Well, because, Americans, and they can be a little crazy." And I explained to her the connection between marriage and children's rights. And she said, "That's so fascinating. I've never heard that perspective before. I have never considered that children's rights was connected to the marriage issue at all." And so while a few of us were able to get briefs into the Supreme Court, the truth is that the American public has never really heard credible arguments on this issue from the other side because we've been shut out of media.
Katy,
because there aren't any.
Well, so let's talk about that.
Sam Dastyari wants to get in on this. I want to hear from the rest of our panel. So.
There is so much with what you've said just then that is so offensive. It's hard to know where to start. The politician in me tells me that I should be saying that while I disagree with your views, I wholeheartedly respect them. But I find that very hard. I find it very hard to respect a lot of your views and what you've said because I don't think it comes from a place of love. I think it comes from a place of hate. And I think that there is so much, I can't accept the fact that you believe that Jeannie's parents, who I'm no doubt love each other, that they're hurting their child simply because of the love they have for one another. I can't accept that. I think so much, I worry that so much of your views stem not really with an issue with just marriage. I think some of it stems from an issue with homosexuality. And you've described homosexuality as a lifestyle. You've said that homosexuality drives us further away from God. These are your comments. You run a blog called Ask the Bigot. And I think that there are people in this country who have different views on same-sex marriage. They're entitled to have different views on same-sex marriage. People are going to have that debate, but I think we have to have that debate at a higher level. And I'm sorry, but I think this American evangelical claptrap is the last thing we need in our debate.